Today on The Social, Jimmy Kimmel's late night show is set to return following his suspension around his comments about Charlie Kirk. What should we expect from the comedian's first appearance back on air? And going halfsies on rent with your partner? Why one boyfriend is questioning whether a 50-50 split is justified when his girlfriend makes less than he does. Then, Denim Care 101. Simple tips for washing, storing, and caring for your favorite jeans so they last longer and look better. Plus, back to school is in full swing. Dr. Sheila tells us what common health concerns to look out for and what to do when your kid brings home a bug. It all starts now on The Social.
Is clearly not over in this audience. Yeah. Autumn, what? We don't know her. Anyway, welcome to The Social, everybody. Joining us today, co-host of Josie and Jamar on Toronto's CHUM 104.5, Jamar McNeil is back.
Thank you.
Okay, y'all. After U.S. President Donald Trump's unproven claims that pregnant women shouldn't take Tylenol, linking acetaminophen to autism, we heard from a lot of very concerned Canadian parents. So today we've decided we have Dr. Sheila Wijayasinghe here today. She's coming on a little bit later. Yeah. So Dr. Sheila is here to answer all of your questions, so please stay with us for that important conversation. But another important conversation we kick the show off with, Jimmy Kimmel Live back on air tonight. Very happy about this. So we all know that last week he was suspended. There was a lot of protest. And listen, it was all about what freedom of speech meant. There was a flurry of dissent, plus a lot of Disney cancellations as a result of that move. So Kimmel had commented on the U.S. president's reaction to the killing of conservative activist Charlie Kirk, which Disney deemed ill-timed and insensitive. That's what they say, why they yanked him off the air. So he'll be back tonight. What are we hoping to hear from him?
First of all, I don't know what you're doing, but I know what I'm watching tonight. I'm watching Jimmy Kimmel. And I want everybody to remember this moment, because if anybody ever tells you that boycotts don't work, remember this moment when ABC suspended Jimmy and infringed on his First Amendment of free speech and how they reacted. There are a lot of rumors about how much money, and the numbers won't be really known until much later, but one thing we do know, that it hurt their bottom line in their stocks, and they lost between $3.8 and $5 billion. Between people, unsubscribing, I was one of those people. It's the first thing I said when I gave that reaction. But I think this is going to be exciting, because if ABC had to go crawling back to Jimmy to fix this situation, it puts Jimmy in the driver's seat. And I'm sure him and his manager are like, we'll come back to save you, but I'm coming back on my terms. So I cannot wait to hear what he says, because Jimmy's always really been fantastic about touching the pulse of whatever's going on, whether it was a pandemic or the president or a school shooting. And I can't wait to hear what he's going to say. But more importantly, I think this is not just a win for him. This is also a win for Jimmy Fallon and Seth Meyers and the ladies on The View, because we know that Donald Trump was mentioning them like, oh, you're next. But I'm sure that people at Peacock and NBC were sitting back watching this disaster for ABC going, whoa. We don't need that. So I'm sure those other hosts are feeling a little bit more confident. My only sadness is I wish we did this for Colbert. I wish we did this for Colbert. But what do you think, Jamar?
Three big things you're going to watch tonight. You're going to see big emotions. Jimmy Kimmel is a huge emotional guy. He's made a real evolution from, I'm an OG from The Man Show with Adam Carolla. He was a very different host, very different subject matter, and he's really tapped into just the sentiment of a lot of people in the country right now who are just saying, we're emotional. emotional, we're drained, we do feel like we don't have a voice. So it's big emotions, big platform. You know, we just finished the Charlie Kirk event, Memorial, which was an interesting event, to say the least.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be a stark contrast. Jimmy has the platform to draw a contrast to that event and the tone of that side of the aisle.
Interesting.
So I think you're going to see, he's going to take that opportunity not to spit fire and brimstone, but to be a little more calm and actually emotional and maybe even sane-minded.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the last one I want to say is huge ratings. The ratings are going to be massive. Like, it's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, this is, as Donald Trump would say, this is must-see TV. You know, that's what it is
Well,
tonight.
Donald Trump will be watching for sure as well.
100%.
Absolutely.
I don't know, like, you're right. He has this incredible ability to be able to take like really serious topics. Everyone remembers when he came out and talked about his son who was in the hospital and he got very emotional. He can also do sort of poignant kind of conversations. And of course, he can be very funny. I am curious to see if he is going to come out guns a-blazing. Do you think he's going to come out guns a-blazing?
I don't think
I know we hope so, but I'm not sure he will. I'm afraid, and it'll be interesting to see, because I'm sure we'll talk about it tomorrow. Will he be a bit muzzled? Because let's be honest, we work in this industry, and we know, sorry, spoiler alert, there are things that go on behind the scenes that you wouldn't know about.
Yeah.
And oftentimes there are conversations in the past that we've had where it's like, you don't touch, we're not going to touch this, or we need to really be careful about this. And so I wonder what kinds of conversations, and we probably will never know, have happened behind the scenes in order to get him back on the air. I don't know. I'm curious.
Yeah, I think here's the thing. I hope in my heart, I'm hoping that he comes out with defiance. That would be my thing that I'm looking for. But I think what Jimmy Kimmel is really adept at doing is something that the President of the United States himself right now is not able to do. And that might be to actually calm the rhetoric and unite people. I think he's going to have eyes that people are going to be hate watching tonight who have never watched his show before because they're on the other side of the aisle. This might be an opportunity to appeal to them, not because he's trying to bow to them, but to say, we are all fundamentally on the same team.
Yeah, that would be
now,
that would be interesting.
The scrapper in me says, you go out there and you show them hell. But we're in this industry, and I don't know if he's going to. I think we're going to break records. He's going to break records with ratings tonight.
100%.
Because no matter if you're Republican, if you're Democrat, if you're independent, every Canadian, we're all watching. So how do you get, but how do you keep those people?
I firmly believe the burden is not on him. He's already won the battle. You know, to seal it and win the proverbial war is to heal. And I think that's the real win here. That's the opportunity he should take. I think he will take that opportunity.
Interesting.
We'll see how petty he is tonight, too.
Petty meter, right?
Yeah, we'll see how petty Jimmy is. All right, so let's move on. Someone wrote to the Toronto Star advice columnist saying they're a local celebrity concerned about their public persona because their wife has no filter and will post about their fights online. So would you be upset if your partner posted about your relationship problems? Jamar? Remember, your wife is watching, so.
Yeah. Hey, sweetheart. 100%. I think this is also like, you know, a lesson in relationship building. You have to be intentional when you pick your partner. I personally picked someone who really doesn't use social media as a meter for our relationship.
But you do.
Not really. No.
But you use social media.
For my business.
Okay, but do you ever mention her at all in your social media?
There are pictures of her. She exists. But like, I don't mitigate our numerous situations on social media. It's not the place, it's not the platform, and it really doesn't move the meter for us. What moves the meter is how we interact at home.
Yes.
Is the meter, Jamar?
Is there a case to be made, though, that like what we often see on social media with couples is only the perfect moments? It's like these perfectly curated, I'm so in love and da-da-da-da-da. Isn't it sometimes helpful to actually see, listen, we've had hard times. Listen, like, is there something normalizing about showcasing those
for maybe
things?
like a therapist, but not for like a person. You know what I'm saying? Like, why does that have to be the platform to prove and like mitigate these things? I mean,
I think it's just dirty fighting tactics. I'll be honest. I think it's a guy who wrote in about his partner putting this all on blast. Where's the consent in all of this? We talk about consent all the time. My husband is not on social media. He looks at it from time to time, maybe just to try to find where his wife is. Where is she? I joke. But I think the point is consent. That is not consensual. If I haven't consented or asked him, hey, can I post this? Then I don't post it. I also have a daughter. She's 11. She is now at the age to say, Mommy, I don't want that. And you know what? Absolutely, honey. I'm going to respect your boundaries. So this is a consent issue, and I also think it's dirty fighting.
You know what? You guys are being really nice about it. I say that your partner doesn't like you. I think, because seriously, what is the motivation for blasting this? And you know that they're a celebrity, so this might affect their career. What is the motivation for putting that? No, but you are very careful about what you say. You do not ever put him out there in a way that makes anybody go, I don't know about that. A fight is something very different, and I think that you have to watch the partner that you have, because I don't think they have your best intention at heart. This is not the early days of social media where we just thought it was an innocuous place to vent your feelings. We've seen 140 characters ruin people's lives. So why would you put your partner's business to take a chance at ruining the way that you guys feed your family and take care of yourself?
And I gotta just say, too, this would feel very different if the guy was doing it.
No, you're right.
Oh, yeah.
You're right.
I'm gonna let that hang right there. It would feel very different if he was doing that.
It did not get any reaction, but I got your back on that.
No, it doesn't need a reaction. I'm gonna leave it right there. I'm gonna put it right there.
Right there, because we do have to go to break, everybody. After the break, if you make less money than your partner, should your rent still be split 50-50? No. Another dilemma, another man questioning what is really true equality. Oh, this is going to be juicy after this. Oh, yeah.
Tomorrow on The Social, stay glowing as the leaves start falling. The season's hottest makeup trends with Jacqueline Forbes. This week on The Social, Love on the Spectrum star Danny Bowman chats relationships and where she's at with her quest for love.
Okay. If you are fired up like this audience is about the topics, get us on social media, and that's where you can have your say.
Okay, so a man wrote to the Washington Post saying he and his girlfriend are apartment hunting, but his girlfriend makes less money than him and can't afford to split the rent 50-50. He says her biggest monthly expenses are hundreds of dollars for takeout and shopping, and thinks she should adjust her budget to afford half of the cost of housing. So what do you think in this situation, Jamar? Should the split be 50-50?
Based on the story this man has told, she technically can afford it. The conversation now, and this is time to put on our big boy pants and have big conversations with our partner. Do you mind adjusting your budget to help me with this part of the rent? Or would you rather a smaller apartment or a bigger closet? Like, what's the split here? And then he has to live with what she says. But I also feel like in cohabitation situations, there is no 50-50. It's all house money. Like,
you put it into a pool? Is that what you mean? Like,
even if you don't put it in, it is what it is. Like, you live together. Like, right now, when I buy a gift for my wife, I swipe the credit card, she gets the notification on her phone like when I bought.
Okay.
Like, it's like, is it really a gift? It's like all of our money, you know?
It's all of your money. Okay, but you guys are you have a child, or you're in a serious, like a very serious situation.
Absolutely.
You're making faces over there.
Listen, I'm doing my best. Do you see my hands underneath the table? This man rubbed me the wrong way in a, okay, first of all, don't talk to me about 50-50 unless we're making the same amount of money.
Right on.
It's ridiculous for you to know, and we don't know how much of a discrepancy there is. Suppose he's making $4 million and she's making $150,000. That's a huge discrepancy. And I also don't like that this idea that it feels like a little control freakish, because it's like, well, you could afford it if you'd stop spending money on all those frivolous things like, you know, your makeup and your hair and all that.
Okay, but
wait. We work out so that we can have a balance in life. I'm not just working to pay rent and make payments. I also want to go out and have a good time and hang out with my friends and buy a little lip gloss. And I shouldn't have to give those things up so I can be house poor. So great, I can afford it. I'll take all my money and put it towards rent, which don't even get me started about that.
But it's like, is it worth the conversation?
But
what do you think?
I have no balance.
Do you think it's worth the conversation?
I think it's worth the conversation. Yeah. And if I were her, I'd be like, I think your problem is you need to date a girl who's in your tax bracket. Because you are a bean counter and you want everything to be fair, but it's not fair if I make less. So go find that girl and have a nice life.
Well, I think it's a bigger conversation. Yeah, could be money. But But we know a lot of people who have pay discrepancies get along very, very well in relationships. So is this about the money or is it something deeper? Maybe it is power. Maybe it's that their goals don't align. Maybe that it's very clear 40 to 50% of relationships end because of money.
Yeah.
And that could be people making different amounts, but I think their goals don't align because he's asking her to make sacrifices because he says, because I don't want to live in a smaller apartment. Well, then why is only one side making a sacrifice and not the other? So it's a power thing, it's a relationship
We're assuming the worst
thing.
of this guy.
I know.
I'm
We
sorry.
It usually happens.
Honestly, for all the things that we're assuming the best of her, we also can possibly put the lens on and be like, maybe this guy actually just by nature is a saver. Maybe he's the one who wants to cook, all the meals. We don't know actually anything.
Well, we do know.
I think it's a great opportunity to have a good. I mean, when you are married, you have to have these conversations. They're not even married yet. I mean, this is a good test run.
He has said in the article, he said specifically, I do not want to become financially responsible for her.
Listen, I'll say this.
Rub me the wrong way. This is what I'm talking about.
I'm going to just say this out loud. I know somebody whose son is in a relationship right now, and she's deeply concerned about this exact thing. Like, this is something where, at a certain phase in life, you don't necessarily want to become financially responsible for someone else. It's okay. You're right. The best thing I think we can all agree on is that they're having these conversations now. Because if they cannot agree on how to spend their money and how to separate things now, they are never going to make it.
It doesn't sound like a conversation to me. It sounds like he is assessing, he knows how much money she makes, and he's telling her, this is what you need to do in order for me to go into this this lease with you. And I'll say this much, if he's really concerned about the finances, well, what's her debt? You don't know.
We don't know anything.
You should be more
This is
concerned
all
about
part
that.
of the
You're talking about rent. If she's paying all of her bills and she doesn't have any debt and her credit score is great, why are you harassing her? This is something where I think, again, he sounds like a bean counter who's being very controlling about, like, you need to stop spending money on these things so that I can live the way I want to, and we make sure it's right down the center. And as you said, nothing's ever 50-50. So already I think it's a red flag.
Listen,
Red flag.
Listen, you don't buy the milk if you're not going to buy the cow. That's what the old folks would say.
What does that mean?
Where are we going, Jamar?
They need
Jamar, you better dig your way out of this one.
Let him explain.
Who's the cow here? Who is the cow in this situation?
The relationship is the milk, and the marriage is the cow.
Okay.
They need to get married.
That was close.
They need to get married.
You know what?
They do not need to get married.
Because, I mean, these cohabitation situations they're roommates.
I agree with you.
They're acting like roommates.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
He's staying in his house and she should stay in hers.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they're doing something that they're probably not ready for. Like I said, my house is all house money. Like, no matter how much money I spend, no matter how much money she spends on groceries, that's our money.
I love that for her.
There's even the perspective.
I love that for her.
Like, it's not my money, it's our money.
Sure, it is our money, but I think it's the spirit with which you say that. And it doesn't sound like he's coming to the table with the spirit.
They're not ready.
We are a partnership. Whoever makes more money in my household,
that's what I'm saying.
The idea is if I do make more or if he makes more, we both benefit. This guy looks like he is drawing lines in the sand, and they've only been together for a year and a half. Maybe
he's had a bad experience with someone trying to get his money.
He should go to therapy
We don't know.
He's about to have another one.
I just don't want this to be all about, like, he's the worst person ever. I think that we have to start to think, like, there are two sides to every story, and it sounds like this story should not continue.
We're not saying he's a bad person. We're just saying that he sounds like he's a tightwad who's counting every penny.
Tightwad is hard. I mean, in this economy, a guy like him actually is frugal.
Thank you.
Interesting.
You're being PC about it, but okay, we're going to leave it there.
Well, this was fun to have your perspective on the show today, Jamar. Thank you for stopping by.
Thank you for having me.
So you can catch Josie and Jamar weekdays from 2 to 6 p.m. on Toronto's CHUM 104.5. All right, let's take a break, everybody. As we said off the top of the show, Dr. Sheila Wijayasinghe is here. We're going to talk to you about facts about Tylenol and autism. That's in 3 minutes. We'll be right back. All right, everybody, we said this off the top. U.S. President Trump is now telling pregnant women not to use Tylenol, citing unproven links to autism. Now, autism experts say that the claim made by the president is not backed by science. And yet, these remarks have had a huge impact on women and parents really everywhere. So Dr. Sheila Singh is here with the cold, hard science. Dr. Sheila, thank you for being here. Okay, let's talk about the science. Is President Trump right or wrong about the link between autism and Tylenol?
He is absolutely wrong. And this is so upsetting for the medical community and for parents and communities. Like, I'm so angry right now hearing this. Like, we knew that this was coming when they said that they were going to come up with a cure for autism. And it's so upsetting to see that they're linking this. There is no association between Tylenol use or acetaminophen use and autism. Like, bottom line, there are studies that have been done that do not show any link. It is callous and it is unfair that they're making these kinds of comments to the entire population. The medical associations around the world are reeling right now from this commentary, and it's causing so much harm to so many people.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And for anybody who's listening and watching right now and just doesn't understand, maybe it's a man who's like, I don't understand what this is about. Why would a woman need to use Tylenol during her pregnancy?
Yeah, so Tylenol is one of the safest medications we know and use during pregnancy for things like pain and fever. And pain and fever are not benign conditions in pregnancy in particular, because we know that unmanaged pain, unmanaged fever in particular, can increase the risk of miscarriage or early labor. And so this is one of the mainstays of treatment that we know is safe. There's not very many things that we can use in pregnancy. It's basically medical misogyny trying to take away an option that we know is safe for women and taking away choice. That's happening here as well as a secondary layer on top of this.
And we know it's been used for decades and decades and decades safely with pregnant women.
100%. It has been used for decades and decades. There's a study that's 2.5 million individuals that were studied looking at that association. There is no link between that, and it is, again, wrong to say this, and it's completely unacceptable.
Of course, you know, this is an administration that has its own definitions of science. So, of course, they, you know, of course, have talked a lot about vaccines. So can you please set the record straight? Do vaccines have a link to autism?
No. So vaccines do not have a link to autism. Tylenol does not have a link to autism. Like, we need to say that. This has been really, really harmful because we're seeing that vaccine-preventable illnesses are making a comeback right now. It is completely inappropriate, but we're seeing this rolling out now in this way, and so absolutely not. There's no association between vaccines and autism either.
So, you know, we've seen, you know, the rise of autism. Partially, I understand, because that umbrella term has now started. Like, the rise is not actually a rise. It's more like there are more things under the umbrella of autism. Yeah. But do we actually know really what causes autism?
Yeah, so the first cases of autism happened before we even had Tylenol to use. That's a separate issue here. But autism itself is, and I want to first say that to all of my patients, to the community members who are on the spectrum or neurodivergent, like, you are loved, you are cared for, you are valuable members of our society. Like, this is dangerous what they're doing right now. And so first off, I want to start with that. And I have to say, like, it is a multifactorial condition. It is a complex diagnosis to make. We know that genetics play a large role in this. It is not due to a vaccine causing this. It is not due to a pill causing this. And it's really, again, it is a complex medical diagnosis to make. But again, this is such a disservice to parents, families, and everybody. They're oversimplifying it, as they do with everything, for messaging and for fear-mongering.
Yeah, and you kind of touched on it already, but talk to us about why this type of rhetoric is so dangerous coming from this administration.
Yeah, I mean, I think many of us have already had so many calls from our patients, our loved ones, wondering, like, is there truth? Even though we know this is utter garbage, like, we are still believing parts of it. As parents, we try to make the best decision possible for our kids, listening to our clinicians to try to find out, like, how can we best set them up for the rest of their life? And that starts preconceptually, in pregnancy, and beyond. And so causing that seed of doubt is such a harmful thing for parents. We already carry enough guilt. I think it's so awful to be able to do this, and that's a harmful rhetoric. And then it just also is punching down on people in our society who are already struggling sometimes, and it's really unfair.
Yeah.
I know, as a doctor and as a mother and as, you know, someone who's got young kids herself, I'm sure you are hearing all the DMs, getting the calls from your patients, but specifically people in the autism spectrum disorder community. What are you hearing from the community about this, this so-called announcement?
I think a deep sense of hurt. and just feeling like we are being made to feel undervalued. We are told that this is something that we could cure, and that is so unfair. And I want to honor all the people who are speaking out, using their voice to speak up about this and sharing their perspectives, because it is such an important thing to fight back against. Like, we're doing this as a medical community. We are going to fight back against this kind of rhetoric, but it's also listening to the voices of those who are most affected that we need to also amplify and listen to, because it's really affecting them the most.
I mean, again, yeah. This is an American president, and yet we know that that has impact over here, even if our officials are saying things differently. So what's your fears around that and the impact that it could have on Canadians?
Yeah, I think we try to say like, we're protected because we're in Canada, but I think this messaging seeps into our politics too sometimes. We have to be aware that things around, like, saying things like vaccines or medications can cause these things, or the medical misogyny that we see and taking away of rights. We're at risk of that as well, and so we need to be aware of that and speak out about it and stop it from happening here as well. So we are at risk.
Listen, you were already booked to be here today, so it's just the perfect timing, so to speak, that you are here and being able to address this conversation. I think everybody's thinking about whether you're a parent or not. What is the one thing that you would like to say, the last thing, so everybody remembers the message that you want to spread today?
So what they're saying is untrue. Tylenol does not cause autism. Please know that you are cared for by our medical community. We are looking out for you. You're doing the best that you can for your kids. You did not make any sort of mistakes in pregnancy or otherwise making those decisions. Tylenol is safe, and don't listen to that garbage.
I hate to say, but I probably think we're going to end up talking about more nonsense that comes out of the White House, for sure. We're lucky that you were already planned to be here. You're going to stick with us for the show as well. Dr. Sheila, thank you. It takes a lot of courage to be a doctor right now. I'll tell you that. Courage and energy. Okay, everybody, right after the break, garment care expert Lindley McConnell is back with Denim Care 101. We'll be back.
Welcome back. I dare you to find someone who doesn't have denim in their closet. And if we're all wearing it, we should know how to make it last.
Absolutely. That's why we brought in garment care expert and vice president of Gibson's Cleaners, Lindley McConnell, to show us everything we need to know. Lindley, welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, we got a lot to cover, but I want to start with, first of all, just break down what is denim and talk to us about the different types of denim that exist.
Okay, so denim originated in Nîmes, France, so hence the name Denim, denim from Nîmes.
Oh.
Yes, and denim's actually the weave. So it's a diagonal weave, mostly done in cotton, and then dyed that indigo blue to give us the jeans that we know and love. So there are several types of denim. The OG denim is your 100% cotton. That was really what made its way into like the versatile workwear force.
Yeah.
Then you have your wash denim. So wash denim is going to be pre-treated. These whiskers here are actually treated to give it that look. So it's pre-washed, pre-treated.
That's called whiskers. This is whiskers.
Correct, yeah, whiskering.
Fascinating. Cute.
Okay.
And then you also have raw denim. So raw denim is going to be dry denim. It's untreated, unwashed. And we'll get a little more into that a little later. We have stretch denim, so that's going to have some component of synthetic, like a lycra or elastic.
Yep.
And then you have your color denim or pattern denim as well.
Okay.
And there can be crossover in both.
Okay. More recently, I feel like on social media, people were saying things like, never wash your denim. And everyone was having conversations about like, never? So set the record straight, is that true?
So it is false, but I also have seen the same
Thankfully.
thing.
Yeah, okay.
Just like any other piece of clothing in your wardrobe, you want to clean your denim. Bacteria and dirt can actually erode the fibers, and I think just for general hygiene, probably a good idea to wash your clothes. But I recommend every 8 to 10 wears, so you don't need to be washing denim as frequently. If it's
10.
Personal preference, but 8 to 10 wears, and making sure it's, unless it's dirty or smelly, if it's stretch and it starts to lose its shape, that's when I recommend that's a cue to wash your jeans.
Okay.
Okay, so let's get to basics. How do we wash our denim?
Okay, so when it comes to denim, we always want to resist the urge to throw them in the hamper. We want to turn our jeans inside out. That's going to protect the color and fading. Always doing up the zipper or the button, because that's going to reduce snagging in the load. And we also want to use cold water at all times. Delicate or regular cycle. And a fun fact is you can actually add half a cup of kosher salt into your load, and that's going to really help retain the color.
Okay.
Oh, did not know that. And what about putting it in the freezer? Is that ever on your list? Because there's a rumor that you're supposed to put your jeans in the freezer instead of washing them.
Yes, I mean, I'm gonna myth bust that. The freezer has really shown no true evidence of like eliminating bacteria.
I just needed you to say that.
Yes.
To me, that's common sense, but yeah, okay. So let's talk about raw denim. It's a harder fabric, so how should we wash it?
Yeah, so raw denim is really unique. It's kind of for like that denim head culture. So it is untreated, it's unwashed. And you identify raw denim from the indigo dye. So you would actually use a fabric care test called crocking. You would rub the denim on like a white piece of fabric, and if you see the indigo dye, it's likely raw.
Okay.
Raw denim really, it's very stiff. It's supposed to mold with the wearer. You're gonna get the natural fading just from you wearing it. So it's recommended from 45 days to 6 months for your first wash, just depending how much you move in your denim.
Wow.
Yes, and when you wash raw denim, extremely important to take it inside out, cold water cycle on its own. There's gonna be a lot of dye bleeding in the load.
Gotcha.
And I would even recommend running your rinse cycle one more time after you remove your jeans from the washing machine, just so that you protect your other garments.
Okay,
afterwards.
interesting.
Wow.
Okay, so let's talk about stretch denim. Again, you mentioned it before.
Yes.
Like a lot of times they do kind of stretch out and you want them to snap back to their original state. So how do we deal with that?
Yeah, so I would avoid hot water with any type of denim, including stretch. Stretch is a little bit trickier, and it really comes down to the component and elasticity, which we'll go into a little later. But you can add your jeans into the dryer for like 5 minutes on the warm cycle to snap it back into shape.
Okay, so only short bursts of time.
Definitely short bursts of time and no hot water.
Okay.
So you had said 8 to 10 wears before we need to wash them, but what if you get a little like spot or stain on them? What do we do?
Yeah, so to spot treat denim, I like to use a soft bristle toothbrush and concentrated like a Color Protect laundry detergent. And you're just gonna add a pea size of this with some water. You're gonna make a massaging motion or tampering. So tampering is the fabric care way of saying patting in the detergent into the stain to lift it off of the fabric.
Okay.
And then you're gonna flush it with water.
Okay, all right, so what about ironing your jeans? Is that a no-go or is that okay?
You can definitely iron your jeans. I recommend when they're inside out only. You can stack the legs on top of one another, medium heat, so 230 to 300 Fahrenheit.
Okay.
Or if you're a little scared of your iron, you can always take a steamer to your jeans as well. Yeah.
All right, so and here's another important question. Are bleach stains reversible? You know when you get that little splash?
Oh.
Yeah.
Can we fix that?
No. So unfortunately, no. Unfortunately, bleach is irreversible because you're stripping color from the fabric. You can get a dyeing kit. My only caution there is because denim has that white undertone, your dye is going to be concentrated. So it might look more like a color blob. Okay. So I would recommend testing a spot first. If you really love the jeans, why not patch them? Or you can go a little like crafty and upcycle. You can do some tie-dye.
Yeah.
Or just go buy another pair of jeans.
Or you can just add, exactly.
Okay, so let's say you've just washed your jeans and you really want to wear them that night. Can you put them in the dryer?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I would say cold cycle. Try to let them air dry as much as possible. So lay them flat to dry on a towel. You can like squeeze out some of the moisture. You can actually roll up your jeans in the towel to eliminate
So you really want us to avoid the dryer?
Avoid the dryer, but I mean, look, if you have to, like cold cycle.
Okay, cold.
And
like
delicate.
cold air?
Yeah,
you
like
mean cold air in the dryer?
Like low heat, just like air temp. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, like the air dry.
Air dry, exactly.
One. Yeah, I've seen that on my thing.
I've never
wondered
used
what
it.
that was for.
Yeah, air dry.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, we understand. We're learning things here, people. Yeah, we are. There's a lot of excitement for denim. Let's talk about holding shape because there's the stretching out, but there's also like I find when I wash denim, things start to curl. So the top starts to curl or bottom start to curl. So how do you hold shape after you wash denim? How do we do that?
Yeah, so 2 main tips here. So when you pull out your jeans from the washing machine, they're inside out, you squeeze them of any excess moisture. When they're lying on the ground, still inside out, I want you to gently tug at where you see any wrinkles and pat the pockets flat because then they're gonna dry in that shape. Also with stretch denim, I really recommend only buying jeans with 2% or less elastic or of an elastic component.
Okay.
You can also do a blend, so 94% cotton, 1% elastic, and 5% polyester. And that polyester is gonna help stabilize the stretch.
Okay.
A lot of the time when our jeans lose their stretch, it's because we have way too much elastic in the fabrication.
Okay, last but not least, let's just say that you don't want to deal with any of this and you're just like, forget it, I have a lot of money and I'm gonna put it in the dry cleaner. Is this something you would recommend?
Yeah, so some people do believe that dry cleaning helps retain, the dry cleaning solvent helps retain the color color over time longer. I think to your point, just remembering that if you do take your jeans to the dry cleaner, they're gonna be finished by a professional. So you're gonna get that presser to make them look really beautiful and almost look like new. So if you have, you know, the time and resources, or no, the time, but the resources, why not?
Okay.
Lindley, great practical information for washing our denim. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Okay, after the break, Dr. Sheila is back. How to stay healthy now that the kids are back in school. The germies are running around, and I'm not talking about the kids. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back, everybody. So fall, we officially welcomed it yesterday, and with kids back at school, that means it's also the start of a steady stream of colds, flu, and dreaded lice.
I know, but fear not, because Dr. Sheila Wijayasinghe is here to break down the most common ailments, how to prevent them, and what to do when they strike. So welcome back to the show, Dr. Sheila.
Okay, is it just anecdotal, or is it true that it feels like kids and all of us start to get more sick once kids are back in school?
Oh, 100%. We're in it right now. 'Tis the season, right? When kids go back to school, they're in close quarters. For first-time kids, they get on average like 8 to 10 infections in the first year of going to school. Wow. Always important to know that. And it's really disruptive. Like generally they tend to self-resolve, they're mild, but they can be kind of gross. Kids are germ magnets.
Yes.
And so they just touch everything. They put everything in their mouth, and as a result, they get sick, and then they bring it home to us, and then we're also effective.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Well, let's start by talking about the thing that many parents live in fear of, which is lice. Oh, there's a picture of it. Sorry about that. How do kids get it, and what's the best way to treat it?
Yeah, I feel like we all get itchy when we talk about lice, right? It's really common. So it's super common. Lice is not dangerous, but it's irritating. It can cause itchy scalp, and it's just kind of gross. And so super common, and why we need to do this is we treat it. So if your kids have lice on their hair, it's actually transmitted from head to head contact. So direct contact, it doesn't jump from head to head, which is a common misconception. So if they're sharing hats, if they're sharing brushes, if their hair is right next to each other, they can also transmit it. So that's why it's so common. And we see these outbreaks happen in schools, and then we have to like treat it. And we can treat it with over-the-counter options. And then generally the main thing I want to share about lice is that after kids are treated, they can go back to school like the next day, or even within after hours of being treated, because we don't want to keep kids out of school for something that again is very common. You want to be proactive about lice. You want to make sure you're brushing your kids' hair regularly, looking for lice. Our school is actually doing lice checks once a month now because it is so common, and it's highly stigmatized. It's not about it's not about hygiene. It's not about like if you're not washing your hair. It's actually just super common that we can get on top of with proactive care.
Correct.
Oh yeah, that's good to hear. Okay, let's talk about hand, foot, and mouth disease.
Yeah.
I find especially like when our kids, little ones, when they were in daycares especially, or younger grades.
Yeah.
So what should parents watch out for? How do you manage it? Because it can get gnarly.
It can be very, very painful. And so hand, foot, and mouth disease is a viral illness. It's self-limited, so there's not like an antibiotic that we can give kids. And just like it's described, it's blisters that can happen in the hands, the feet, and in the oral cavity. And so it doesn't always happen everywhere, but especially when it hits the mouth, it can be so uncomfortable that kids actually stop eating and drinking. And that can cause dehydration, and that's where we really manage with pain management, like acetaminophen or ibuprofen, and that's all we can really do, and make sure that they're hydrating well. It can last about 7 to 10 days, and generally once the blisters dry over, it's considered to be safe to go back to school. But it can last in stool for about 4 weeks, which is why we see it cycling in daycares, and why hand washing is so important. Adults can get hand, foot, and mouth as well, and they can be quite severe in adults and cause a lot of pain and distress. So we always want to wash our hands and be aware of that risk as well.
So is it contagious?
It is contagious. It is highly contagious, which is why we see it rapidly spread in daycare settings.
Okay, well, we know that nothing spreads faster than a horrible stomach bug. So what should parents be aware of and do when vomiting and diarrhea and things like that hit the house?
Yeah, very common. It's kind of like the gift that keeps giving, right? Kids come home and they just they're vomiting, then you start vomiting. It's awful. And so nausea, vomiting, abdominal discomfort. And really, again, it's viral. And so there's no antibiotic that we use to treat it. And it's symptomatic treatment. So we're using the pain management, fever management as well. And again, you can lose a lot of fluid. So you want to make sure that you're hydrating well through that time.
Okay, is there at a certain point, like it sounds like we just have to manage at home, but is there a certain point where we should worry about any kind of gastrointestinal bug?
Yeah, so dehydration can happen with gastrobugs, and the Canadian Pediatric Society recommends rehydration fluids to help get through. But if that's not enough, and we see kids in our office who aren't producing tears anymore, their mouth is dry, they're not peeing anymore, like they've gone hours without peeing, those are signs of dehydration that should get checked out if they're not responding to oral rehydration that you can buy over the counter. If they have blood in the stool or a high fever or very significant pain, also a really good reason to see us.
So we're also heading into cold and flu season. So this is always something I feel like I don't really know the difference between a cold and a flu, and I feel like people use these words interchangeably. So how do we know when something's more serious?
Yeah, so colds are really common. They last a few days. They're more mild in nature, so generally runny nose, congestion, maybe a low-grade fever. A flu is much more significant. So if you've ever had it, can take you out for a couple of weeks. You can get a high fever, chills, and fatigue, and there's significant flu-related complications that can happen, especially in younger individuals and older individuals over 65. And this is why prevention is such an important piece. We learned a lot from the pandemic in terms of how to prevent these things. First off, the vaccines are coming out in the fall. So if you're over 6 months, you can get the flu vaccine, you can get the COVID vaccine. COVID is still around. We always want to hand wash and also use masks or stay out of public spaces if you are sick or coughing. Those are ways to decrease transmission. And there was a really interesting study in Europe that actually looked at kids when they got colds and flus, and they did nasal saline rinses. And what they found when parents started those saline rinses at the first onset of a cold, it decreased the duration of their symptoms by a couple of days. Oh, wow. And it also decreased transmission to other people in the family. So if you want something that's low barrier to do and low cost, try the nasal saline rinses.
Okay. Yeah, I remember when you posted about that, and I just bought all the nose kits.
Yeah.
Just squirting my brains out. Okay, we want to stock up our medicine cabinet before the season really hits. Yeah. What should parents have in there?
So absolutely, this is like your toolkit, right? And I think the start of school is a great time to do it once a year to make sure your medications aren't expired and that you're up to date, because you don't want to reach into that cabinet in the middle of the night and not have something that works. First off, I think having a digital thermometer is really important to know if your child actually has a fever. Often parents come in, they're like, they're warm. It's helpful to us to know, do they actually have a fever or not? You want the pain and fever precautions as well. So acetaminophen and ibuprofen. We know that Tylenol is safe. We've talked about this today.
Sorry, what was that, Dr.
Tylenol is safe.
Tylenol is safe.
And it does, right? And especially for adults, you want Tylenol or ibuprofen, and for adults too, because we also get affected, right? We also want things like antihistamine. So, like for allergies that may happen, diphenhydramine, which is Benadryl, has fallen out of favor. You want to use other ones, like the other common ones that you can get over the counter. Our family has gone through lice, and so I have a lice kit at home. You can always get that over the counter anytime you want. The saline spray, like you said, Mel, is important. Bandages, popsicles are like electrolyte fluids to have at home. I have them in the freezer for the kids in case gastro hits. And then having a humidifier is really helpful. And then in the middle of the night, I tell my patients, have if you are needing fever precautions at night, make sure that you have like the dose written down somewhere at night so that you're not reaching for the bottle and looking at that tiny print.
You cannot see it. I take a picture, I have to zoom in. That's a really
so have
good
it ready the night before, just in case you need it. If you don't need it, you can always use it later.
Okay, quick one, I got to sneak in here. Cough syrup.
Yeah, cough syrup under age 6 is not recommended for kids, so avoid cough syrup. Instead, you can use honey and water for kids over the age of 1, much more effective.
Okay.
Done. Dr. Sheila, bring in the knowledge today. Thank you. Okay. I hope you PVR'd, screen grab what you need to have to be ready for cold and flu season and all the fun stuff ahead. Let's take a break. We'll be back after this. Okay, tomorrow on The Social, do you want to learn how to be more persuasive? Yes. The Science of Influence with neuroscientist Dr. Bryn Weingard. That's on tomorrow's show. And makeup artist Jacqueline Forbes is back, so we've got a lot of fall beauty trends to try. She's going to try to convince us that barely there eyebrows is something we should try. Convince us, Jacqueline.
I mean, she's so good, so I'm willing to be open-minded.
I already have that trend, and I fill them in every day.
Thank you so much for being here, everybody. Follow the science. See you tomorrow.